Hello and welcome to what's in this week's Oban Times with me, Finn Nixon.
Me, Kathy Griffiths.
And me, Sandy Neal.
Well, I'm delighted to say that all three of us are back in our state-of-the-art studio to fill you in on the stories we have for you in our newspaper and at www.obantimes.co.uk. As always, you'll be glad to hear that we have lots of news and photographs for you, and remember that we are also always happy to hear your stories and see your photographs. You can call us on 01 631 568 000, email editor@obantimes.co.uk, or message us on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. But over to you, Kathy. What have you been finding out about this week?
Almost half of unpaid carers taking part in a poll have said they accepted low-paid work because it fits around responsibilities. Those are the early findings of a new Argyll Bute survey. Worried about the impact of the rising cost of living, Argyll Bute Citizens Advice Bureau invited unpaid carers to share their views and experiences. More than 70 of them took up the offer. Other findings include 28% of them who responded said they were struggling financially. 20% even said they'd sold personal possessions to help them get by. So these results are all going to be put forward to the Argyll Bute Health and Social Care Partnership and the Scottish Government to make positive change. So well done to the Citizens Advice Bureau for taking that on. Let's hope it makes a real difference. We've also been chatting with an amazing lady from Iona called Anja Jardine. She's a breast cancer survivor, and this Saturday she's going to be running the 10k Mull event to say thank you to the cancer nurses and support staff at Oban's Macmillan Day Bed Unit. So we're all rooting for you, Anja. Fantastic. Read our story in the paper and online about how you can give your support there. And okay, big hip hip hurrah, Oban Rotary Club has got its first female president. So you can meet Ciorsti Baxter, who lives in Oban and retired from Police Scotland a few years ago, who is taking over the helm. She got involved in the club after the Rotarians helped fund a trip away for the brownie pack that she still runs on a Friday night in Oban. Also, heads up, a date for the diary. The big duck race is coming on August the 12th. And if you like sentimental stories, here's a lovely one for you. We've got a lovely picture about a 135-year-old, not a person, but a christening gown that's been handed down through 5 generations of the same family. 3-month-old Adam McAllister is the latest in his family to wear this beautiful lace gown. Have a look, check out the picture, it's gorgeous. He's there with his mum and 11 other relatives who have also worn that gown. There's been many more in all those years, but it's a lovely picture, and it's good to say that the gown is now back with Adam's great-granny, Valerie McEwen, for safekeeping until needed for the next occasion. There we go.
Thank you for that, Kathy, and what a nice story. I look forward to reading through all of the rest of your stories in this week's newspaper and on our website. What about you, Sandy? What have you been writing about?
Well, thank you very much, Finn and Kathy. Well, this Sunday, exactly 50 years ago, holidaymakers in the Esplanade Hotel overlooking Oban's beautiful bay fell asleep in their beds as the long summer sun set behind the mountains of Morven and Mull. A light, maybe a cigarette or a match, was probably dropped into a waste paper basket in the main entrance foyer, where it smouldered and caught. No one knows for sure. But in the early hours of that Monday morning, smoke and fire spread up the single stairway and lift shaft, the only ways out of the building. So began a nightmare, one of the deadliest fires in Oban and hotel fires in Scotland. 10 lives were lost in the tragedy that day, July the 24th, 1973. But many were also saved, thanks to members of the public and local voluntary and emergency services. Among those who rallied were 12 firemen of the Oban retained unit of the Western Area Fire Brigade, men who their firemaster said had a hell of a hammering that day, and yet, just a day after the tragedy, returned to their jobs as plumbers, electricians, mechanics, barmen, builders, and bin lorry drivers, ready for the next call. In this week's paper, the last 3 surviving firemen of this heroic crew describe their experiences that night and afterwards. On the fire's 50th anniversary, on Monday, July the 24th, a service will be held at Oban Community Fire Station on Sorba Road at 11 a.m. to remember all those who perished and rallied to the rescue, not least the firemen who ran from their beds straight into danger to save as many lives as possible. The public are invited to join the ceremony and share their memories. There will be an opportunity to tour the station and even meet the local crew. And in other news, we have the latest fallout from the falling out of our two local SNP MPs, Brandon O'Hara and Angus MacNeil. Plus, who won Champion of Champions at the Lismore Agricultural Show this year? I and two farmers spent what felt like hours trying to get you the perfect photograph. Hope you enjoy it, and many more winners from a brilliant day. It almost didn't happen after a storm wrecked the tents the night before, but Islanders came to the rescue and saved the day. You can read a teaser in the paper and the full story online at www.obantimes.co.uk. Finn, what have you got for us?
Well, thank you very much, Sandy. And in the sport, it was an emotional rollercoaster ride of a weekend for Glencrusen's Bob McIntyre at the Scottish Golf Open in East Lothian. Bob came incredibly close to victory and received an awesome reception from his compatriots on the course. You can read all about the 26-year-old's epic performance in this week's Oban Times. There was also success for the Isle of Seals golfers in Dalmally and for the so-called Old Boys in the Sprogs versus Gimmers match play competition at Craigmuir Golf Club. Elsewhere, we have plenty of shinty action for you, as well as the lowdown from the Camanachd Cup semi-final draw. The likes of Oban Camanachd, Oban Celtic and Skye were playing in their respective divisions. At Ganavan Sands, there was quite an incredible performance as Angus Macmillan teared up the course at Oban's local park run on Saturday to set a new record. In cycling news, North Argyll cyclists tested their mettle against a new 10-mile time trial route between Kilmore and Kilnimber, while we have a full preview of the big bike weekend before the family-inclusive event returns this weekend. All of these stories we've mentioned today, as always, can be read at www.obantimes.co.uk or by picking up a newspaper from local shops and garages when it hits the press on Thursday. And don't forget, if you have a story, get in touch. You can call us on 01 631 568 000, email editor@obantimes.co.uk, or message us on one of our social media platforms. We love hearing from you. That's all for this week, though, so it's goodbye from me, Finn Nixon.
Bye from me, Kathy Griffiths.
And goodbye from me, Sandy Neal.
Bye.
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 Hey, hey.